almond milk with almost no almonds, protein bars with just as much sugar as a chocolate bar. My friends, we need to talk. Stick with me for the next few minutes and I'll show you some foods that look healthy but actually aren't, and what to eat instead. We live in an age where the word healthy is slapped onto just about everything. Snack bars, drinks, frozen meals, even candy. And we want to believe it. We really do. Because let's be honest, life is busy, confusing, and chaotic. And if something can claim that it's both convenient and good for you, it's like a siren song that many of us just can't resist. But here's the problem. Most of these items that are marketed to us as healthy are anything but. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not here to make you feel guilty for enjoying any of these foods. We're here for a little education and some good sense so you can decide if something is worth eating or if it's wearing a clever disguise. Let's start with almond milk, which is like a container of creamy deception. When you look at a package of almond milk, it claims a lot of things. It says things like dairy-free, low-calorie, and a great source of vitamin E. But what it actually is mostly water, additives, gums, and a few lonely almonds floating in the background. Here's the scoop. The average container of almond milk only contains about 2% almonds. That means in a 1-cup serving, you're likely getting only about 4 or 5 almonds worth of nutrients. What's making up the rest is water, synthetic vitamins, stabilizers, things to make the label look appealing. Carrageenan is a common additive in almond milk, and it has been linked in some studies to gut inflammation. Even unsweetened versions can contain vitamin D2, which is a less absorbable form of vitamin D. D3 is actually more absorbable. And also calcium is added, but the calcium is synthetic, which is much harder on your body than calcium that's obtained from natural food sources. Many people switch to almond milk because they're trying to avoid dairy, but what you can do instead is make your own nut milk. You can take a cup of almonds and soak them overnight in about 4 cups of water, and then just blend it up in a blender and strain it. The homemade version is much richer with actual nutrients. Now let's talk protein bars, which are really just candy bars in gym clothes. A lot of them claim to be high protein, low carb, and fuel for your workouts. But if we look a little closer, a lot of protein bars are stuffed with soy protein isolate. A lot of them also contain sugar alcohols, which cause tummy troubles and bloating for many. They also have inflammatory oils like palm kernel oil or canola oil, as well as preservatives that extend shelf life, but they certainly don't do much for your health. Also, some of these healthy bars contain upwards of 20 grams of sugar, which is the same as your average candy bar. Others use artificial sweeteners, which is really, at the end of the day, just more chemicals, and some of them can disrupt your gut microbiome. One of the bigger problems here is that we're told that protein is king, but not all proteins are created equal. A lot of these bars use cheap proteins that aren't absorbed by our bodies very well, like soy isolate or whey proteins, which have questionable sources. This isn't real food, it's more of a science experiment. Some things to do instead is maybe to snack on some hard-boiled eggs or a handful of nuts or some Greek yogurt with honey or a piece of fish or chicken. If you really like to buy bars, look for ones that have 5 ingredients or fewer and that don't contain artificial sweeteners, and list all the protein sources that you recognize. Next, we have agave syrup, which is the sweetener that's worse than sugar. Agave syrup claims that it's low glycemic, all natural, and better than honey. But what it actually is a super processed syrup that is higher in fructose than high fructose corn syrup. Now, one thing that's true is agave does have a lower glycemic index, which means it doesn't spike your blood sugar in the same way as sugar does, but it comes at a cost. The fructose fructose that's in agave bypasses the insulin system and gets processed in your liver. Fructose is the sugar that is most highly linked to liver disease and can even cause cognitive issues if consumed in excess. So in this case, sometimes we think we're upgrading from white sugar, but really we're just trading one villain for another. So a good substitute might be to use honey or dates or maple syrup in moderation. Next, we have the morning blood sugar bomb, which is breakfast cereals. A lot of breakfast cereals market themselves as being heart healthy, fortified, and whole grain, but they're really very highly processed carbohydrates, synthetic vitamins, and sugar. Even cereals that are labeled whole grain or fortified contain over 80% processed carbohydrates. The fortification is used because the ingredients are so processed that all the nutrients are stripped from them. So they essentially spray synthetic vitamins and minerals onto them like a spray tan. Even healthy commercial cereals like granola contain a lot of sugar, and they're baked with unhealthy oils or fried, and it turns the wholesome oat into a carb bomb. Let's have a look at this granola, which looks so delicious and healthy with all the nuts and raisins, but if we turn it over, a 1 cup serving has 520 calories, 26 grams of fat, and it has 24 grams of sugar. That's a lot for just 1 cup of cereal. Now, don't get me wrong, I love granola, but the better thing to do is to make it yourself. That way you can control what goes into it and how it's made. Cereal that's often marketed to children has things like supports growth and builds healthy bones, but a lot of them contain more sugar than donuts. So a better thing to do is enjoy some homemade oatmeal or some steel-cut oats with a bit of Greek yogurt and some honey. Top it with nuts and berries, and it's absolutely delicious. Or try a savory breakfast of maybe eggs and some avocado. We also have the smoothie bowl or the Instagram breakfast. These bowls look like works of art, but they have the sugar of 3 desserts before noon. And I've made them before with banana, honey, mango, granola, and it was delicious. But by 11 o'clock, I was looking for a sandwich. That doesn't mean you need to avoid them completely. Just use a little less fruit, maybe add some protein and some nuts and seeds to make it more filling. Now we're going to talk about plant-based meat alternatives. Now, the way these are marketed is they claim to be better for you, better for the planet, and packed with protein. But these are highly processed patties that are made in factories. Many plant-based meats like Impossible Burgers and Beyond Meat contain isolated proteins like soy or pea protein. Also methylcellulose, which is a chemical laxative. They're not whole foods, and they're designed to taste like meat using chemicals, binders, and a lot of artificial ingredients, some of which the health effects we don't know the long-term effects of. Some of us want to eat less meat for either health or ethical reasons, but we end up replacing it with a chemical soup, which is just as questionable. The thing is processed, even if it's vegan. So what to do instead is eat real, unprocessed plant-based proteins like lentils, quinoa, beans, tofu, tempeh. Make your own veggie burgers with mushrooms, black beans, and oats. Low-fat salad dressings are also something else that wears a healthy costume. And if we look at the back, the very first ingredients is sugar and fructose. Now the thing is if you actually want to have a good salad dressing, having a little bit of fat is good in your salad dressing because it helps you absorb vitamins from your vegetables. So a little bit of olive oil, some vinegar, lemon juice, salt and pepper. Keep it simple and you've got a great salad dressing. Also, we have veggie chips and veggie straws, which is where vegetables go to die. Now, a lot of these claim they're made from real vegetables. They're crunchy and healthy and low in fat, but what they really are highly processed starches with a sprinkling of vegetable dust. Most of these are made with potato starch and corn flour, and then they have some powdered vegetables put on the top, and then they're baked or fried with seed oils. Now, a lot of these say they're made with real spinach, rich, but it doesn't mean you're eating a vegetable. The bigger problem with these is that these snacks are made to hijack your health radar. You eat them thinking that you made a good choice, but then you wonder why you're still hungry or feel bloated afterward. A good thing to do instead is to bake up some sweet potatoes or some kale with some olive oil and salt and snack on those. Or if you're craving chips, maybe make some air pop popcorn and season it yourself, and you can skip all the bagged hype. Now, the food industry is very savvy, and they know how to use all the buzzwords like low fat, plant-based, organic, superfood, natural, all to make their products seem better than they actually are. But you don't have to fall for it, because the best stuff comes from food that grows, rots, has imperfections, and doesn't need a marketing team. And the point isn't necessarily to avoid these foods forever. It's about knowing the truth so that you can choose to make the best choices for yourself. The healthiest foods tend to be the ones without the fancy labels, like eggs, lentils, tomatoes, etc. And they'll do the best thing. They'll actually nourish you. So now, enough talking. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go make a plate of pasta. I want to thank you so much for spending a bit of your day with me. Many blessings to you and your families. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next one.